Good morning. Thank you for making time out of your busy day to come here. Under normal circumstances, we'd have an excellent view of the Narrows, but courtesy of that rather large friendship, it may be a bit narrower than narrow. Anyway, thanks again for coming. It's fitting that we're here at ALT with its venue, its accommodation, its beverages, and its entertainment. But also actually overlooking the waterfront, where it is quite the tourist attraction, and cruise ships have played an increasing role in the economy of the locality. And it's a historic city. It's St. John. It's North America's oldest city. I want to extend a welcome to all of you, and again, thank you for coming. We have some special guests, and we'll get to them momentarily. I'm not going to delay things, though, so I'm going to call upon Premier, my colleague, the Right Honourable Dr. Andrew Fury, Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Thank you, Minister. I got a bit of promotion there with Right Honourable, but. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today for what is truly an exciting announcement for the people of the province. This is an exciting step forward for our government and for many of you here in the room who have been asking for us to do something about ride-sharing for so long. We are so fortunate in Newfoundland and Labrador to have an active and engaged people who share their perspectives with our government and help us make progress together as a province. Many of you in this room and in our province have been asking for another transportation option to go along with the services long offered by the hardworking women and men in the taxi industry in Newfoundland and Labrador. The demand for transportation services has just been exceeding the capacity of the taxi industry over the last few years. And in a way, that's a good problem to have, because it means our province is truly buzzing with activity. We have heard regularly from many people who live here, visitors, our community partners, municipalities, business owners, boards of trade and commerce, that there is a real need for more local transportation options in this province. Residents and visitors alike need to be able to get to where they want to go in a reasonable time and safely. Ride sharing can provide that for us. I'm pleased to share that after discussions with Uber, they have expressed an interest and are working toward bringing their services to the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Our province is open for ride sharing. During this session of the House of Assembly, Minister Studley will bring forth legislation to encourage ride sharing services throughout Newfoundland and Labrador. The Minister will speak to these amendments shortly. The new amendments go a step further than we already have in place to allow for a province-wide ride-sharing service to make it easier. After a lot of work and discussions with multiple community partners, many of whom are in the room today, we are excited to introduce a provincial approach to ride-sharing services. This approach will provide clear and simple rules to enable ride-sharing services to operate safely and effectively in Newfoundland and Labrador. It will also help ensure consistency of regulation and enforcement. Our population is increasing. Years of population decline have finally been reversed. And that's thanks to some of the dedicated efforts by our government and stakeholders who are in the room. Families are moving back home. Newcomers are choosing to call Newfoundland and Labrador home, and businesses are growing as a result. We want to be sure that we are providing the services that they need. We want to be sure that people can access safe and accessible transportation services. The amendments we will bring forward this session are intended to help both our taxi industry and ride-sharing services grow and thrive. There is room for both taxis and ride-sharing services in this province. It really does not have to be one versus the other. In many, many, many cities and provinces and other jurisdictions across North America, ride-sharing coexists with taxi services, and they both operate successfully. So now it's time for Newfoundland and Labrador to join the rest of the country as our government continues building a modern province for a modern global economy, together with our valued partners. I'll now turn it over to Minister Studley for some more fine-tuned technical details. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, everyone. It's nice to see so many of my colleagues here today. I saw Minister Andrew Parsons and Minister Steve Crocker and Minister Bernie Davis and MHA Scott Reid and MHA Lucy Stoyles. So very pleased to have you all here, and Mayor Breen and Mayor Aker and the Board of Trade and Councillor Maggie Burton. Everyone's here. Wow, thank you so much. Excellent. Thank you so much. So I know over the last few years we've had a lot of back and forth about ride sharing, between the province and the city of St. John's particularly. Today, nothing is stopping ride sharing, but, in 2021, we did make changes to make it easier for taxi drivers to get taxi licenses. And we thought they might come. They didn't come. And so in consultations with municipalities, community partners, ride sharing companies like Uber, we're kind of taking it up a notch. And we're, as the Premier mentioned, announcing a provincial approach to ride sharing. And so in the current model, requirements and rules are at the municipal level. And so we heard from ride-sharing companies that provides a significant amount of risk in terms of the business model, having to align with each different municipality. And so we certainly understand that. And so in discussion with municipalities, and to address this, we'll be making two sets of changes. So the first one, we're going to amend the legislation to create an overarching provincial framework for ride-sharing. This means that any ride-sharing company interested in operating in Newfoundland and Labrador would have one set of rules to follow. These will be outlined in legislation in the Highway Traffic Act, and hopefully coming to the House of Assembly in the coming days. So secondly, we're proposing to change the requirements for obtaining a Class 4 taxi license to operate a taxi or ride-sharing vehicle. So currently, to get a Class 4 taxi license under the Highway Traffic Act, you need a Class 5 driver's license for 2 years. You need to submit a medical, a written test, a road test, and a vehicle inspection. So we're proposing to eliminate the requirement for a Class 4 written test and on-road practical test, and this will apply to both the taxi industry and ride-sharing services. This will help to ease the administrative process for both new taxi and ride-sharing drivers and speed up the process to recruit and retain and get more drivers on the road. And so this is a policy change that we can implement without going to the House of Assembly, so that will be implemented in the coming days. All of the other requirements for a Class 4 driver's license will remain in effect. Taxis and ride-sharing drivers will still be required to have 2 years of driving history with a Class 5 license, a medical, and an annual vehicle inspection, and an applicable insurance policy. So we're not making any changes to the licensing requirements for ambulance operators, buses that carry no more than 24 passengers, and vehicles under a contract with a school board to carry children to and from school and school-related activities. So taxis will continue to use taxi plates as a means of vehicle identification. Ride-sharing vehicles will not have to feature a taxi plate, will be required to display a sign or decal while engaged in ride-sharing services. They can use their existing J plates for private passenger vehicles. And so we have a zero tolerance policy for drugs and alcohol currently in the Highway Traffic Act, and that will continue to apply for both taxi drivers and ride-share drivers. And so to enable provincial oversight of ride-sharing and to assist our municipalities in bringing this service to their respective areas, we're proposing amendments to the Highway Traffic Act, including a clear and concise definition for a transportation network company, and a ride-share service, clarifying the definition of taxi not to include ride-sharing and to introduce specific reference to ride-sharing, introduce a system of licensing of transportation network companies, and we're amending municipal legislation to limit their jurisdiction to taxi services only and not to ride-sharing. So details around the conditions for operating a transportation network company like Uber will be set out in the regulations. We envision these will be things like ensuring drivers have Class 4 licenses, maintaining a system of criminal background checks, maintaining insurance, and ensuring vehicles are inspected annually. And our legislation will also provide the ability for any municipality not interested in having these services in their area to be exempt from participation. So these amendments will require the same safety standards for both taxi and ride-share drivers in Newfoundland and Labrador. This is going to ease some of the administrative burden to help meet the demand for reliable and safe transportation in the province, and hopefully will support a competitive industry that will continue to thrive. I think it's interesting. I want to give a shout out to the taxi companies. You know, they've really upped their game in the last year with the technology. You can now, you know, book a car on your phone. It's incredible. And I think this could be an opportunity for the existing taxi companies to maybe split off the business or have a ride sharing component and a taxi component, because the ride share model will also be available, you know, to the taxi companies as well. So happy to chat about that further with anyone. And I think it's going to be an interesting opportunity. And so I also want to mention, every time I talk to people about ride sharing, they bring up these illegal social media services that operate with kind of an illegal ride sharing market underground. So I want to be very clear that those are illegal. They're operating both illegally for drivers and passengers, and you know, passengers are at serious risk from a public safety and insurance perspective. You know, if you participate in some of those kind of illegal social media ride sharing groups that exist. So I'm personally really also hoping that, you know, improving the availability of ride sharing really reduces the use of those illegal ride sharing services. And so I just want to give a shout out to our team. They've done an incredible amount of work behind the scenes. We have a lot of legislation on the order paper. And so I just want to thank them for putting this together today, bringing everything together. A shout out to my colleagues. I know in particular Andrew Parsons and Minister Crocker, Steve Crocker, who were always fighting for businesses in the hospitality sector in the province. So thank you very much, and looking forward to answering any questions after. Minister Haggie, thank you.
Thank you, Premier. Thank you, Minister Stoodley. So I'm now going to call upon Anne-Marie Boudreau, who is the CEO of the St. John's Board of Trade, to offer her comments. Anne-Marie.
Thank you, Minister. The St. John's Board of Trade is so happy to be here today. Modernizing our legislation to increase transportation options in Newfoundland and Labrador isn't just about creating more ways to get from place to place. It's about igniting economic opportunity. It's providing convenient options so that Newfoundlanders and Labradorians can visit the shops and restaurants in our cities and towns. It's providing ease to visitors so that they can experience all that our province has to offer. And it's empowering newcomers who are choosing to call Newfoundland and Labrador home. This conversation is not new, as Minister and Premier have alluded to. Many community partners, stakeholders, and individuals, including the St. John's Board of Trade and our members, have been advocating for rideshare for quite some time. And today, government is making it happen. Thank you, and we applaud the time and attention given to this matter and appreciate the province-wide system that you are implementing. The St. John's Board of Trade believes that increasing transportation options is good for many. And on behalf of our members, thank you for taking this important step, and we look forward to welcoming rideshare providers to Newfoundland and Labrador. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. I think it's important to stress this is what happens when we collaborate between business, between the communities themselves, and between government. Everybody benefits from that. Next speaker is someone I met in another capacity some time ago. I won't say how long, with Mun, but she speaks today as CEO of Destination St. John's, Kathy Duke. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Haggie. Destination St. John's is delighted to learn of the current amendments to the Highway Traffic Act to allow for ride sharing in the province. This is really great news today, so we're really very excited about it. As we market our destination to today's traveller, this introduction of ride sharing helps us meet our visitors' needs and supports our efforts to provide high quality, market-ready services. This will increase our ability to meet our visitors' expectations in an increasing competitive marketplace. While visitors are drawn to Newfoundland and Labrador for its natural beauty, its unique culture, and its people, they also have an expectation that we can offer quality services that will make their travel experience easy, accessible, and convenient. Ride-sharing platforms can offer a familiar, easy to use with a standard electronic payment option. As well as safety, reliability, and affordability, travelers today are seeking contactless travel. A low-touch, contactless journey is a hassle-free way, and it is the new norm. Whether there's a reservation, booking, ticket, parking fee, or a boarding pass, travelers expect and appreciate the convenience of managing their travel through their mobile service. Our post-pandemic world brings many new challenges and opportunities, which have resulted in changes in the way we do business. In St. John's, whether it is readily available ride service to and from our airport, to and from our many restaurants and pubs in our downtown area, or visits to our many cultural and historic attractions, which are spread throughout our city of hills and valleys. This will greatly improve the overall experience of our visitors. They will return home not only with memories of the many unique experiences they have had while they have visited us, but also of a city providing modern, accessible services and transportation options throughout the city. We look forward to having this service available in our 2024 tourism season. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Whilst a set of safe transportation alternatives is clearly designed to benefit visitors, it also benefits the residents of the people of this province. So as kind of draw things to a conclusion now, I think it's important to note that these kind of changes do not happen with departments or individuals working in silos. It takes a team of elected individuals across many departments, a team of professional civil servants, some of whom are lurking around in the background here today, tied in with the voice of community partners. Those kind of collaborations are what's making these advancements significant. So I'd like to thank you all again for today, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your morning. Thank you.